Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Radiant Tale, continuing Vilio's route. Still in Chapter 2. This one's taking a little bit longer, but whatever, we're gonna enjoy it. Anyway, think we're in Chapter 2. Pretty sure we still are. Anyway, learning magic from Vita and Pashalia.
Hey, you've got to focus. The most important thing when practicing magic is concentration.
Right. Well, I definitely do have a problem with that. Concentrating. I have a problem with it. Can't do it.
Humans usually need to communicate with spirits whenever they use magic. But as spirits and fae beasts, just visualize drawing the power from our bodies. First, be aware of your flow of magic.
I'll do that.
See, this is what happened when you lose focus. You're covered in dirt. Should we stop for a break?
I can keep going. Oh, we're right. We're Vilio now, right? Spacey gave her all in practicing despite Vita's constant scolding. I've been watching her for some time. You really are one of a kind, Spacey. Thanks, Vilio. I was the one who gave Spacey the vast, unruly power making her magic run wild. And now that power was taking control of her life. She could have complained or blamed me for all the things she had to endure. Except she never complained about it, not once. She tackled it head on. And here's the thing, even if we were like, oh God, this is killing me, and like, it's so frustrating, he'd be like, I'm sorry, it's my fault. And you're like, no, I'm not blaming you. I'm like, it's a frustrating situation, but like, it's the price that I pay for, saving, like, you know what I mean? Like, she wouldn't be like, I would never blame you for that. Like, we would never blame him for that, even if it is frustrating. It's like, life is frustrating. But like, this is not your fault, even though, I mean, yes, it is, but we're not going to blame you for it. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to hold it against you or like anything like that. Like, yeah, sure, I have this unruly power because of you, but like, it's not like you did this to me. It's like, well, that's what happens becoming a dragon's bride, and nobody knew what to expect, and so I can't expect that you would know, and also that saved you. So like, of course, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, of course we're going to deal with it, Like, but it's kind of adorable. You're like, aw, we're so wholesome. Anyway. I said I'd come too, but I'm useless. There she was, putting her everything into this despite being caked in sweat and dirt. All I could do was look on from a distance, and since they said I'd only interfere. Oh, look, he's feeling sad for himself.
Mind if I sit beside you?
Oh, hey, Pashalia. You sure about that? Aren't you busy teaching her?
She is, Vita. She'll be fine. If anything, her magic is more akin to his spirits than the kind humans use. Besides, I'm worried about you, Vilio. You're my friend.
Huh? Nah, I'm fine. Pashalia raised his voice to interject before I could finish.
You're probably feeling drained since you're surrounded by water spirits. But I doubt that's the reason you're over here frowning. You see, I won't let you suffer in silence again. I've had enough of that.
Pashalia, you...
I'm not asking you to tell me everything about Spacey. But if there's anything I can do to assist, just say the word. Even though we're not in circus anymore, we're still friends. Or am I the only one who thinks so?
Oh! I feel like that's a guilt trip. You really have a way with words. Never change, man. Smiling bitterly at the long-haired guy beside me, I finally caved. I don't know, it's just kind of painful to know that all I can do is watch when she's working so hard. I'm the one who suggested she train, but I can't help her. My gaze dropped to my hands, and out of the corner of my eye I saw Pashalia shake his head.
That's not right, is it? Spacey must find it reassuring that you're always there for her.
I do, I absolutely do.
Remember when her magic went out of control earlier? It calmed down right away the moment she held your hand.
Yeah, but it's not like I did anything in particular. I mean, I'm glad my being here is enough to help her, but it doesn't change the fact that I did nothing. Deep down, I knew Pashalia was right. Just having me close by probably meant a lot to her. Still, I couldn't shake off my frustration. I know I'm being selfish, I just feel this urge to do something even though it's not necessary.
I imagine that's because you've always done everything. You can't help but think that way. It's also totally normal. Everyone has moments like that.
Looking a bit wistful, Pastrelli aside.
Just do what you can instead of sitting around worrying about it.
What?
I'm sure that's what you'd say if someone else had the same problem you do. Perhaps you're so wound up about it because you're too close to the issue to look at it clearly.
Oh. My eyes widened at his unexpected remark.
We're in the city of love. It's my job to make sure it stays that way. There must be all sorts of things you can do for the woman you love.
Pastrelli radiated confidence as he told me to rely on him for counsel. Then he tossed out a few ideas. He seemed to enjoy the process.
How sweet. Our sweet derpy little dragon. Several days had passed since I started honing my magic. Thanks to Vita's strict instruction, I'd gotten better at controlling it. I couldn't say I'd mastered it, but I felt like I had at least managed to get the hang of things. Honestly, I'm still not so sure. I need to practice more. I figured I'd take the day to do so.
Hey, Spacey, are you free today?
Yeah, I am, but Shelley has another appointment to take care of. I was thinking of practicing on my own.
Sweet, perfect timing. Let's go on a date.
Come again? Thus, the two of us went to the underwater park. This place was a hot spot for tourists. I sure didn't see this coming. Who knew you'd ask me out on a date today? I'm really glad we get to sightsee in town, just the two of us.
I know, right? When we were on our tour with Circus, we barely had a chance to enjoy it as a couple.
I beamed at him and gave his hand a squeeze. By the way, I'm happy to join you since you asked me out and all. But are you okay? Didn't you say Fire Fae have the worst compatibility with water? When Circus visited Oriens for the first time, Vilio didn't even hide the fact that he was feeling sluggish during his stay here. It was the same this time around, too. His pallor wasn't too bad, but he was pretty disoriented. Why did you pick here of all places? We're literally underwater!
Can't say I'm in perfect shape, but it's no biggie. I feel better because you're next to me, Spacey. Maybe I only look like I'm spacing out because I'm entranced by my super-duper lovely wife.
Ah, jeez. Vilio won't be able to relax if I keep fussing over him. He must have been feeling all right if he was still cracking jokes. I smirked at the thought, and Vilio took a good look around us.
Besides, I've always wanted to come to this park. We've been here several times for the circus shows, but I never got to explore it. I wanted to go with you at least once.
Yeah, same here. Not to mention, your mom and dad met each other in Oriens. Didn't you say something about your mom giving your dad a replica of the Lacrima?
Yippers! Just like how you gave me this thing when we came here before.
He rummaged beneath his shirt and took out the pendant he was wearing. It was so adorable. He's still wearing it. I had given it to Vilio during our first visit to this place. It was a gift from me to him. You're still wearing it, huh? Good to know.
Why wouldn't I? This gift from you is my greatest treasure.
With a happy smile, he cradled the pendant in his hands. That's saying a lot, because dragons like their treasure, right? I don't know if that stands in this world, but it stands in general.
When I was devouring fiends throughout the world and felt like I couldn't control the storm of negative emotions inside me, it sounds strange, but I just held on to this and my pain miraculously went away. Pretty sure this thing helped me suppress the negative emotions until the very last moment. I owe it a ton.
Oh. My chest still felt tight, remembering what he went through. It was agony knowing how much he struggled when there was nothing I could do but watch. Amid all that tumult, I gave him the pendant. I was delighted to know that such an ordinary thing had helped him through his darkest time. And when he called it his greatest treasure, it had me on cloud 9. I'm so glad I gave it to him. I let out a sigh of relief. You know, I went back and forth on whether I should give it to you. Although they said it could grant wishes, it's just a replica. Some people called it a talisman, but I figure it's a charm at best. Gifting that to you was all I could do back then. I poked the black gem in his hand. The stone sparkled, reflecting the soft light filtering through the water.
You know, Spacey, when you gave me this, I didn't know why you looked like you were in so much pain. I felt like I should at least tell you how happy I was to receive it. It all makes sense now, though. I fully get how you felt back then, Spacey. The person I care for most is giving it everything she's got, and I can't lift a finger to help her. I finally know how much it hurts.
Oh, Vilio. He held my gaze for one beat, then two.
Say, Spacey, can you hold out your arm for a sec?
My arm? Why? Puzzled, I did as he asked. He wrapped a bracelet around my wrist. It was pleasantly warm to the touch. How cute! And we actually get to see it in our little CG. Huh? Aww. Surprised by the gesture, I took a closer look at the jewelry. The white flowers adorning the item were a bit oddly shaped. Right in the middle was a luminous white gem. Its glimmer was different from that of the black gem on Vilio's pendant. Wow, did you make it yourself? What a novel design! I feel like, did you make it yourself? Because what a novel design! Sounds awkward. You know what I mean? Oh, wait a minute. We don't have... There's only one ending. Though, so... Hold on. I'm gonna scroll really quick. Okay. Well, okay, the answer is, did you make it yourself? Okay, what a novel design is a CG variation. Okay. Did you make it yourself?
I did, actually. It's honestly not that good. Some of the threads are loose and the shape's kind of funky. Clumsy as it is, I swear I gave it my best shot.
But that's adorable that it's like kind of awkward and not perfect. And this is sweet as shit. Vilio smiled from ear to ear, thrilled that I'd noticed he'd made it himself.
You see, I had Pashalia teach me how to craft this yesterday. Making a handcrafted item isn't as easy as it looks.
He glanced down at the bracelet, giving it a light poke.
Pashalia kept telling me to buy one from somebody else. But I wanted to do it myself, no matter how weird looking it turned out in the end.
You put so much thought into it. Thank you. This white gem is shining so brightly. It's beautiful.
If I remember correctly, that gem's called selenite. I hear it's got the power to clear your doubts.
Is that why you picked it?
Yeah. You've been worried about something lately, haven't you, Spacey?
So he noticed. Even that he'd never asked me about it. He was probably waiting for me to speak up first. There was just one thing, though. I can't tell him what I'm feeling quite yet. I'd hurt him if I let out my pent-up emotions carelessly. I needed to think things over more before unloading. My silence must have told him I didn't want to talk about it. Instead of pressing me for answers, he steered the conversation back to the bracelet.
You know what else? The gem's color is so you, Spacey. Soft, pure white. Seems like it's glowing even though it's not see-through.
You think I'm like that? Hearing myself compared to something soft and glowing had me flustered. Vilio smiled wider at that.
Anyway, I'm glad I did it. I've been wanting to give you something for the longest time. I'm always on the receiving end.
That's not true. You've given me so many things.
Huh? Like what?
Like how you gave me an opportunity to step outside of Lieber. Then there's all the fun memories we shared on our journey together. Not to mention the sweet ache in my heart when I'm with you, a feeling I wouldn't give up for the world. Those things were wonderful, but my real treasure was... The best present you've ever given me is the future, one where we'll be together forever.
Oh,
I've already received so much. What else do you have to give me? My earnest feelings coaxed a chloris flower into bloom. Vilio watched the petals unfurl, seeming ever so happy.
What are you saying? Those aren't just things I gave you. They mean the world to me, too. The memories, your affection, our future, everything.
We're even, then. How adorable. We are like the most wholesome... adorable fucking things ever. Thanks, Vilio. I'll keep it with me always. I do have to say, like, for her personality, like, I can see why he's canon boyfriend. It works really well. You know what I mean? I really hate saying he's not my favorite character, because, like, hi, we know Ginia, Alesta, and Zephora are, like, and then Radi's, like, right underneath them. And I like Pashalia, Ion, and Vilio. I absolutely love everybody in this game. But, like, you know what I mean? Sometimes canon boyfriend, you're like, yes, I'm here for that. But, like, he's too adorably babyfaced, to be fair. I still love him to death, though. But I do think that they work really well. You know what I mean? And, like, they're so wholesome and fucking sweet and cute. And they just, like, I mean, they did it on purpose that way. They're like, oh, they're going to be the best pairing. Like, even if you like the other pairings with her personality and the other ones, you can't deny that, like, these really are the best fit. They, like, Vilio and Tifalia are the best fucking fit together. Like, anyway. Thanks, Vilio. I'll keep it with me always. Course. Glad you like it. The dragon beamed brightly at me. I scanned our surroundings, wanting to give him something in return. Except there were no food stalls or anything for me to purchase from. Oh, I know! Can you come closer, Vilio? Are you going to give me a kiss on the cheek? When I beckoned Vilio over, he leaned in close. I gave him a peck on the cheek. Then I drew back, smiling shyly. Oh, look at him blushing and awkward. That's so cute. Thank you, Vilio. I love you. Taken aback by the surprise kiss, he froze up for a moment. It only embarrassed me even more. It was just a thank you for the bracelet. You don't have anything. I don't have anything else to give you. Bracelet, a bracelet Vilio personally made for the protagonist. While it may look somewhat rough, it was made with love and affection, and that's why it's our favorite. And we're Norians, too. He should let this slide, right? I'd normally never be this smooth, but we were in the #1 destination for lovers. Besides, we're married now. He's my other half, and a kiss on the cheek is fine. You're already holding hands, you perverts. Hey, Vilio, say something, please. You're making me feel a little bashful now, but it is cute how awkward he is. The boy was still rooted to the spot, eyes wide open, so I called out to him in a timid voice. That seemed to do the trick. I love you too. He threw his arms around me and tugged me into a big hug. Even in the cool water, I felt his warmth. It brought a smile to my face. After that, we continued to enjoy our time in the underwater park, just like the other couples. We made great use of our quality time together. Chapter 3? Yeah, Chapter 3, look at that. We ain't too bad. We just like 10-15 minutes off. Ferris, the Dual City, had a special rule that set it apart from the rest. Strength is justice. It was an absolute law advocated by the great spirit of fire, Valen. Most of the people here took pride in their combat skills, and there were plenty of gladiators. The security force's head office was also here, rather than the royal capital. As for the core item of Ferris, it was a fiery artifact called the Intaglio Ring. And the person in charge of it was Ion, a former member of Circus who traveled the world with us. He had a deep connection with the ring, and now he was working as the commander of the forces here. We'd come to Ferris to see him. Wow, the city never changes, huh? The atmosphere is no joke. I gasped in awe at the enormous structure in front of us. The outer wall, probably the largest among the major 5, looked as intimidating as I remembered. I'm glad we made it, but I guess we're too early. Should we walk around and come back later? We still have some time. Sure, why not? Might as well eat some tasty food while we're here. With that, we headed off toward downtown. Right then, pounding footsteps came our way. Curious, we turned around only to see a couple officers from the security forces running straight at us. See, I was right, wasn't I? Whoa, he really is the one from the show. He looks exactly the same. What's the matter? Did something bad happen around here? Hi, were you not listening to what they were saying? They're fangirling. Their response was quite unexpected. The officer stopped in front of Vilio before saluting him. Pardon me for asking, but are you Vilio the Dragon? Yeah, I am.
Oh man, I knew it! It's the real Vilio! Sorry, but could I get a handshake? A handshake? I suppose I can. Me too, please! Let me check your grip strength! His grip strength? And just like that, Vilio was surrounded. I was stunned by the sight. A disappointed voice rose up behind us. Here I was wondering why you suddenly ran off. What a troublesome bunch. You realize it's got to be Ion, obviously. Oh! There he is. I believe I made it clear that rule breakers are to do 100 push-ups. Ion! I spun around and greeted the familiar face. His sharp features, which many people thought to be frightening, relaxed when our eyes met. He seemed pleased about our reunion. Of course he is. He's sweet. It has been a while, Spacey. Same to you, Vilio. This is just a guess, but are the officers swarming Vilio? My subordinates. Apologies. They caused a commotion the moment you arrived. It's fine. I was just surprised. Besides, it looks like he's enjoying this. My gaze shifted back to the buzzing group while Ion and I caught up. Aren't you a dragon? The strongest fey beast in the world? Yeah? Dude, I can't believe I get to talk with a real dragon in my lifetime! Mind telling us how strong you guys are? Huh? I'm not sure how to describe it. If you were to fight Commander Ion, who would win? That sword over there, is that the weapon you use when you're in human form? Hold on already, fellas. I'll answer one at a time, alright? As a real-life dragon, Vilio would attract attention anywhere he went. With the way they clung to him, I doubted they were just doing the fairest thing of showing him adequate respect. for his power. The people of the city were not fearful of the Dragon Boy. They were simply intrigued by him. They're fangirling. The last time I saw him this bewildered by a bombardment of questions was when my mom and dad swarmed him just like this. I watched on, stifling a giggle. How do I put it? Dragons are a whole other race than us from the get-go. It only makes sense that their lifespan, power, and lifestyle differ from ours. The officer's remark was offhanded, and he didn't mean anything by it, but I went stiff the second I heard it. Yeah, there you go. And, man, I'm so jealous. You get to live way longer than humans. Okay? Now, see, what did I say? What did I say in the beginning? That, this is probably, especially when she started looking at Arthur and being the little things that changed and freaking out about it. Normal people, when you're living a normal lifespan, you have moments of oh man, everything changes and the nostalgia, and you feel sometimes a little melancholy about it, and sometimes, you know what I mean? But her power freaking out is because you're now not just thinking about the passage of time as a whole, as a normal human, where you're oh, that sucks. We're all going to die and everything's going to change. Okay, great. Swell. You're we're all going to die and everything's going to change and all my friends are going to die and I'm going to live forever. You know what I mean? It's 10 times more stressful when your lifespan is now probably 10 times longer, So, told you. Why are you jealous? Because that means you got a whole lot of time, You can train as much as you want and grow even stronger. Unlike you, we humans only max our current training for 20 years or so. You'll still be alive and kicking when we grow old and die. I'm super envious. Yeah, right here, we're getting to the root of the problem. Oh, I see. I never knew there were people who felt this way. I think of all the Otome games I'm not going to play when I die. All the ones I'm going to miss. That's sad. So sad and tragic. But the thing is, I'll be dead. I won't know. But I'm still sad about it now. But and all the things that are going to change 20 years from now. Holy fucking shit. You know what I mean? Which, by the way, is going to be you're going to blink and it's going to be 20 years later. And we're going to be sitting here. Remember 20 years ago when we were talking? For God's sakes, I've had this channel for 9 years. Has it been 9 years now? Is it 10? I think it's 9. We've been playing Otome games for at least 8. But it's going to be Jesus Christ! You know what I mean? Started working at my job 10 years ago. What the fuck? That's what I'm talking about. What even is time? So it's one of those things that you blink and you're oh shit, what the hell just happened to the last decade? 20 years, 30 years, 50 years. I don't know what happened. I wasn't alive 50 years ago. But you know what I mean? But there's a point when you're like, wait, what? Where you just think when you stop and think about it, it's baffling and scary. But then you amplify that by being like, I could live to be 200 or 300 years old. And holy shit, it gets weirder. So, I mean, this is why she's freaking out. So, Vilio nodded pensively. I gave my head a light shake, the officer's words echoing in my mind. Different lifespans. All this time I had tried so hard not to touch on that subject. It was only natural that different races had different lifespans. I knew that all too well, but when I actually heard someone else say it feels a little lonely. Come again, Spacey. Ion faced me with a frown. I must have accidentally voiced my thoughts out loud, and he had overheard. What did you mean by lonely? Oh, sorry about that. Just thinking about something, no biggie. I clutched my wrist tightly, clinging onto my bracelet. It was shameful thinking that living so long wasn't that great, while these people earnestly wished for the privilege. Still, I couldn't help it. Right. Mind if I step away for a moment? I need to tell them off. His brow creased as he strode over to the noisy officers. You there, I know meeting someone you admire has you excited, but is it not about time for you to let him go? Commander! He is a good friend I have not seen for quite some time. I would like to speak with him. Understood! Apologies for our insensitivity! We'll go on ahead, sir. The officer saluted the big man and left. It's great to see Ion giving instructions to someone else. He never did that when he was still a member of Circus. I figured it was because the man himself was being controlled by the intaglio ring. The fact that he was dishing out orders to his subordinates was a sign of growth. I studied Ion, not knowing whether to feel happy or sad about it. Sorry, Vilio. My subordinates wound up giving you a hard time. I may or may not have ignited their interest in dragons when we spoke about you yesterday. No problem, big guy. I'm all about that kind of energy. Besides, they seemed really happy. Ion smiled, then stood up a bit straighter and saluted us both. Once again, welcome to Ferris, the Dual City. I hear there's something you wanted to tell me in person. Right. Can you read this letter real quick? Ion nodded and opened the letter, which summarized the current situation. Once he finished, he let out a breath. I see. So Spacey is struggling to control her magic, and you've set out to create a new core item. Things have escalated a great deal right under my nose. It's just as you've read. We especially need your help creating the core item since you're the keeper of the intaglio ring. Ion listened to Vilio, then pondered for a moment. Regarding the core item, I would be more than happy to lend you a hand. The intaglio ring has a bad reputation, so I would like to prove that it can be beneficial when used correctly. Thanks. And what do you think about my situation? Well, I doubt I can be of help when it comes to your magic troubles, Spacey. I am still quite new to magic. I do not think I would be of much assistance. Don't feel bad. It's all right. I mean, we're the ones dropping this on you out of nowhere. Besides, we're already starting to see some improvement on that front. But the thing is like, the only thing he could offer is, I'm new to magic, but here's what I've learned, like, with the magic I've dealt with, and I don't know if it helps you. You know what I mean? She's been thoroughly trained by Pashalia and Vita. The rampages haven't gone away, but they taught her the do's and don'ts for when it happens again. And that's great to hear. The big guy let out a sigh of relief at our cheerful smiles. I could probably use magic through the intaglio ring if I put my mind to it. But if there's no need for the ring, I would rather not touch it at all. Ion gingerly touched his eye patch. I nodded, averting my gaze. That's valid. The ring has already given you a lot of painful memories, not to mention the underground arena. If anything, you probably want to seal it away completely. Ion and the ring were pretty much inseparable. Bound by the ring, he had been forced to fight in the underground arena. He once said he's used to seeing his friends die. A friend he made one day would die in a fight the day after. I wonder how he felt back then, having to go through all of that every single day.
Well, there you go. That's how he can help you.
What's wrong?
Oh, it's nothing. Sorry. I shook my head, hoping it would banish the gloom settling in my mind. Vilio's look told me he wasn't convinced, though.
Right. Do you have some time?
We both looked up at Ion, who appeared to have remembered something.
There's something I would like to show you. Please come with me if you're able.
I wonder what it is. He said he'd explain to us once we got there, so we simply followed him.
It should be around here.
We were walking through the forest when Ion stopped in his tracks. Deep in the woods was a small clearing that glowed in the moonlight. There we found flowers? Clusters of jet black flowers I'd never seen before were fluttering in the wind. Are those mystic flowers? Given the fact that they were floating in the air and had no roots, they had to be mystic flowers. They were as beautiful as the chloris, but somewhat eerie. They had a powerful draw that sucked you in and made it hard to look away.
They're Erebos.
What's that?
Erebos are mystic... Oh, that's Ion. Erebos are mystic flowers that bloom in dark, stagnant areas and feed on negative emotions. And the exact opposite of chloris.
But they look so pretty.
Erebos, a black mystic flower that blooms in response to negative emotions. They require darkness to thrive, growing in clusters deep within forests. For this reason, one would normally never come across them. They are harmless as flowers, but when their numbers reach a certain threshold, a handful will transform into fiends and prowl around.
Oh, okay, well that's... They feed on negative emotions? That sounds just like...
Yes, and this is what fiends look like before they're able to move around.
Aw, but they're such pretty flowers.
You can bet that these flowers will grow into the fiends we all know.
So these are fiend flowers?
Who knew fiends grew from flowers? That's something they didn't tell us in the first game.
I scuttled backward and hid behind Vilio. Ion smiled wryly and picked up one of the black flowers.
Merely touching the flower will do you no harm. There's nothing to worry about.
Then can we just spray them with, like, weed killer or something? I timidly reached out my hand to touch it. It's even prettier than I thought. The way it floated in the air reminded me of chloris, just in a different color. I mean, it's beautiful. Look at it. I did feel a fiend's presence coming from it, though. I never knew such a mystic flower existed.
I don't blame you. These flowers bloom in dark woods without anyone knowing.
And yet people know about them, but yet we didn't feel like we needed to tell it. This is obvious. I mean, that was obviously not the lore in the first game. It was like fiends. And then it's like, oh, they stem from flowers. Yeah. You know. Just like a human heart. People seldom hid their joy. Gloom was a different story. Most people would rather keep their sorrow and resentment locked away. Well, yeah, because there's also like a huge negative connotation to having negative emotions in the world in general. Like, if you're happy and everyone's like, look, they're happy, that's great. And if you're sad, everyone's like, why are you crying in public? Jesus, you should be ashamed of yourself. But if you're laughing, that's totally cool. You know what I mean? Like, we should normalize negative emotions. Like, because the reason why people get so angry and have, like, such detrimental negative emotions is because you can't express the normal negative emotions. I mean, some people are just emotionally unstable, sure. But I mean, in general, like, you can't cry in public, so you stuff it down, and then that's going to just build up and make it worse. You know what I mean? Whereas if you're feeling negative and you need to cry, you should be able to cry without people ridiculing you or anything. Like, if you're sitting there in the public and you're reading something sad, you're like, oh, I can't cry in public because people are going to, like, say something or judge me or whatever. But if you're reading something funny, you have no problem laughing, right? Because there's a negative stigma on negative emotions, but negative emotions are just as valid as positive emotions. It's okay to motherfucking cry. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to embrace those emotions and work them out as you need to. There's no difference. You know what I mean? Because, like, sometimes when you're just sad for no reason. Sometimes you're happy for no reason. But why is it that you're allowed to be happy for no reason, but when you're sad for no reason, like, you know what I mean? Or, like, if something good happened, you're allowed to celebrate that. But if something bad happened, you're not allowed to grieve or cry or do anything. People are like, no, go and do it in a corner by yourself. Like, no. It's fucked up, man. It's fucked up. And it's even more fucked up. We tell men that they're not allowed to have definitely not allowed to have negative emotions. You're going to cry like a normal human? How dare you? Like, that's just even more fucked up. You tell your sons growing up that they're not allowed to feel negative emotions? Like, what the hell? Like, it's just, humans suck, man. But anyway. Why did you show us this, Ion? I don't quite get it. The man in question answered with a smile. Remember what you said earlier? The intaglio ring in the underground arena brought me nothing but painful memories. I will not deny that, but if you ask me whether I want to seal them away, then the answer would be slightly different. I do not think I could be true to myself if I were to seal away my dark past and act as if nothing ever happened. His gaze dropped to the Erebos in his hand. This flower blooms in a shrouded place, away from my sight. Similarly, my past lurks within me, even if I wish to conceal or ignore it. The underground arena was certainly real. My first friends and cohorts lived there. I will not ever deny that fact. Ion was surely thinking of his old friend, Avi. A young man who owned the 7th arena of Ferris, possessed by a fiend, he was cremated in Vilio's flames and is no longer in this world. I vividly recall how Avi was possessed by fiends and purified by Vilio. He vanished from this world without a trace. Okay, why do we need the glossary if you were just going to say that in the next thing? I've been fine with the glossary, but the glossary in Vilio's is starting to aggravate me. It's like, me, the heroine. Like, I get it. Like, why are we like, you know what I mean? Like, if you just say Avi and then you move on, but you just said the exact same thing in the glossary as you did on the next line. We didn't need that. Didn't need it. And the fact that you also refuse to put Zephora as a glossary term, but you put everybody else, and you put every other mystic item or a core item except for the Sentinel necklace. What the fuck? Why you hate Zephora so much? Like, anyway, I remembered every second of it. Frankly, I was far more than just a bystander. Had I made one wrong move, I would have been the one purged by Vilio's flames. Then I would have died instead of Avi. I have questioned it over and over again. Why did I survive while others died? However, no matter how much I regret it, I will never be able to return to the past. That's true. They didn't tell us about the flowers or anything, but they basically humans can be possessed by fiends, but the fiends sprout from flowers. Ion looked like he had made up his mind. He closed his fingers around the black flower. The one thing I can do is preserve the memory of the people who died in front of me. Instead of lamenting my survival, I want to do everything I can to prevent more suffering. There's no better way to make amends. He opened his hand, which was now empty. A soft smile tugged at his lips. See, he just crushed that flower, so I think we just need to crush all these. Spacey, I believe you said you were lonely. Poor Vilio. It's not what I meant. I didn't mean lonely because you're here. I mean you know what I mean. She means lonely living forever. Well, Vilio flinched beside me, but Ion kept on talking. Loneliness and pain are completely normal. It would be better if you did not keep those feelings locked away. See, this is how Ion's going to help us. He may not teach us magic, but he's teaching us to let out our emotions. Do not hold them in. You'll only hurt yourself that way. You've seen how much people suffer when they keep their problems a secret. Mm-hmm. And Vilio looks all sad now. He's like, I'm lonely, but I'm here, and aw, I make you lonely? Throwing a profound look at the redhead, Ion then shifted his gaze to me. I shall return first. Vilio, I assume I can trust you to escort her back. Yeah, we'll be fine. In that case, come to the Forces HQ later. It's been far too long since I cooked for you. Cooking takes time, so take it easy. There's no need to rush. With that, Ion turned and walked down the path we'd taken earlier.
And then 2 hours later, he's like, when I said don't rush, I didn't mean take your fucking time. I mean, I meant take your time, but not all the time in the world. Jesus. Just kidding. Meanwhile, the two of us followed his advice and took our time. Rather than departing immediately, we quietly observed the Erebos blossoms. I've made him worry. An awkward silence fell between us, and I snuck a peek at Vilio. He was surrounded by the flowers, standing in the darkness with scarcely any moonlight. He looked gorgeous, yet I couldn't help but remember his black dragon form. He was in so much agony back then. You know, Chloris suit you much better than Erebos. I spoke without thinking. You think so? Yep. I mean, you're always so bright and cheerful. You shine like the sun, warming me up and filling me with energy. That's why you're more like a Chloris. He's like, then why are you lonely? If you think that, I'm really pleased to hear it. Except I don't think I shine like the sun at all. Like right now, for instance. My gaze was more than enough to convey my puzzlement. He brushed the black flowers with his fingertips, then went on. You've been stressed about something, right, Spacey? Forcing a smile, he looked back at the flowers. Thing is, I have no clue what it could be. Relita and the other guy seem to have some vague idea, but that only makes it worse. It's frustrating because I'm your other half, yet I don't know anything at all. I didn't even dare to ask you. To be honest, it's making me feel pretty depressed. It has me so down I think I'm the one who made these flowers bloom so big. He plucked a blossom out of the air, a bitter smile on his face. My chest ached at the sight. This is the first time I've ever seen him so sad. He must have been waiting for me to tell him what was on my mind. Yet I was too afraid of hurting him to broach the subject. My heart broke when I realized that biding my time had caused him a deep, unseen pain. And the person I care for most has given it everything she's got, and I can't lift a finger to help her. I finally know how much it hurts. Thinking back on what he'd said, I took a seat under one of the trees. I took a deep breath as I mustered my courage. I feel lonely. Ion did mention that. What's making you feel lonely? Ion, Pashalia, Zephora, Ginia, Calivis, Spiria, my mom and dad. We might be able to spend time with them now, laughing together and enjoying each other's company. But they don't exist in my future. What? His eyes flickered and his lips went taut. He knew the reason behind it. I'd become a dragon's bride. Now that I'd received a share of this dragon's power, I would live for a long, long time. It was the reality that had been festering in the back of my mind, one I pretended not to know. Don't get me wrong, I know you'll be here for me, and Relita's probably immortal unless something happens. But as for everyone else, I'll have to watch my friends and family die, one by one. Our wonderful time together will be a distant memory. I'll never be able to see them again. Which is why the man harem angle of this works well. You just spend your time with them, like whoever's gonna die for, and then like they die, and then you move on to the net, and then you know what I mean. It's like a vampire having all your like concubines and stuff like that. You know, whatever. Like, I'm gonna have my dragon's harem. It hurts to think about. It's been hard. I knew I'd only upset you if I complained about it. Except for the fact that all of our friends are mostly mortal. Pashali is TikTok. I don't know. Like, he's got the poor Pashali. He's got the shortest lifespan out of everybody, probably. So I kept it to myself. I grasped my bracelet. It took some courage, but I wouldn't stop now. I needed to tell him everything. I'm no longer human. My lifespan's no longer the same as other people's. I feel like I don't belong anymore. Knowing I'm not human, it's so painful. All this time, this is what had gripped my heart in a vice. I never wanted to open up to Vilio about it because he was the one who'd made me this way. Oh, right. That. Yeah. I think my magic is running wild because I'm struggling to cope with having all these mood swings. Somewhere deep down, I knew the cause was internal. Even so, the physical show that there was nothing wrong with my body. The physical show there was. Oh, yeah, okay.
Ashalia had told me it could be psychological, but it only clicked for me now that I'd said it out loud. The reason I couldn't control my magic was because I couldn't accept I was no longer human. You unconsciously repress your power because you believe no ordinary human should be able to use magic. Mom was right. Normal humans can't use magic, so I told myself I was still an ordinary girl. That was why I was so afraid of seeing change in the city or my friends, something I never cared about before, as I told you. Felt like I was being left behind. Everyone would move further and further away from me till the day we had to say farewell. I'm sorry. I shouldn't feel this way when you're right here for me. Logically, I know nothing has changed, but I feel so lost, like I'm watching my old life go on without me. Again, because you're living longer, so you feel like you're standing still while everything else is moving at super speed. You know what I mean? Species, or you're moving in slow motion while everything else is going normal. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you're at a completely different pace than everything else around you. So you're like not in tune with life anymore. And it's not like you were always like that, where everything else is moving so fast and I'm moving at a regular pace for me. You were moving at the same pace as everything around you, and now you're standing still while everything else is sped up, you know? So it's disjointing. I averted my eyes, afraid to see his reaction. Instead, I looked out at the Erebos blossoms. I distinctly remembered what Vilios said when he gave me a share of his draconic power.
Hate me as much as you want.
I don't ever want him to regret it or think I detest him for it. If it weren't for his power, I wouldn't be alive right now. Of course, I wasn't disappointed about having a future with the man I loved. I don't know how to tell him that, though. No matter how hard I thought about it, the right words never came. I opted to cast those half-formed sentiments into the darkness around us. The heavy silence reigned for some time.
I see.
Vilios' tone was neutral. Aww. Look at our little CG. She looks so kind of sad and like she doesn't know what to say to him. And look how he kind of looks almost like melancholy happy, though. The dragon boy had been listening from a distance, quietly sat beside me. Look how sweet it is. And it's pretty with the flowers. I know they're supposed to be evil flowers, but they're beautiful. He held my hand and pulled me close. What's gotten into you?
First, let me apologize. I genuinely had no idea. I never realized you'd be so distressed over this. I've always been a dragon. Seeing other races die is pretty common for me. Sure, there are times when I feel lonely or hurt, and I find it hard to say goodbye. But honestly, I don't get it. Separation is a part of life.
I know. Vilio was a dragon from birth, and I was a human who was granted a power beyond me. Our perspectives were bound to differ.
You know what I feel the most right now? Frustrated.
Why? This time I was the one seeking insight into his feelings.
Because everyone beside me understands how you feel. It's frustrating. It's not fair.
Got a frog in my throat right now all of a sudden? I can't do his voice.
I guess you could say I'm jealous.
He smiled, but there was no mirth in it.
You know, I always pictured myself dying before everybody else. I'd live to fulfill my mission and then die to protect the world, and that was all I thought about. I never actually desired anything. You were the first person I truly desired, Spacey. Your future, your heart, your everything. And I'm not going to let anyone take it from me, even if they're friends or family.
Vilio's voice was quiet yet clear. His hand clenched mine harder. It wasn't like he was trying to reassure me. If anything, he was essentially telling me he would never let me go. Ever. His fixation was so strong it sent a pang through my chest. It was so unlike him.
You said I'm always bright and positive, right, Spacey? The truth is, I'm not as positive as you think I am.
His lips curved into a soft smile amid the whirling Erebos flowers. Except it wasn't his usual smile, one bright as the clear blue sky. Loneliness clouded his gaze.
At the end of the day, even this is just another part of me.
His words were reminiscent of ions, and he chuckled.
Feeling dejected is totally normal. Everyone has moments like this. My love and affection for you have dark sides of their own, Spacey. And that said, I believe these negative emotions can motivate us to take the next step forward.
I realized he was referencing something I'd told him in the past. To me, he still suits the Chloris more. I won't concede on that. On the other hand, he was facing his negative emotions head on. Rather than deny those feelings, he embraced them. I said once before that there are some feelings too important to ignore. Contrary to what I said, I might have been trying a little too hard to ditch the loneliness in my heart.
I can't help you completely erase the pain that sends your magic into a rampage. I can't relate to your concerns because I don't understand your fear. Despite all that, well, I'll always be here with you. I'll hold your hand just like this, anytime, anywhere.
His grip on my hand was so strong. Through touch, he was telling me he'd be there when I was ready to take the first step. Yeah, I know. I gazed up at the night sky. It was dark, the moon nowhere to be seen. We were simply talking. We hadn't found a solution to my problem. And I was totally fine with that. I would embrace my loneliness and fear. My gaze would be firmly fixed on the future. I'll always be here with you. I'll hold your hand just like this, anytime, anywhere.
I know it's like Vilio saying it, but it's like her remembering what he's saying, so that's why I'm just reading it like this.
His words kept on repeating in my mind. I squeezed his hand just as tightly as he held mine. We flew west, crossing nearly all of Eshalita, and arrived in Kultura. Yay! Time for Zephora! And upon our arrival to the labyrinth city founded by the great spirit of wind, Libra, we were greeted by...
He's so mad! Look at his mad face! He looks so pissed. He's like, God.
Oh, are you mad because your bestie stole your girl? I love it when you make that mad face at me. Could you put your glasses on? Zephora, a former member of Circus, let out an extremely long sigh. I love their best friend mans. What's with the sigh?
Hey, aren't you being rude? Your best buds came all the way here and you're just gonna sigh? There's so much I want to say, but first, let me make this clear. We are not best buds.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are. Yes, you so fucking are. I'm waiting for the buddy cop spinoff with these two. Just this two-person Scooby gang solving mysteries. It's adorable.
Zephora, now a bona fide sentinel, had done amazing work bringing the people of Kultura back from the brink after Balto's abuses. Yet this generous, considerate leader who'd revitalized the city was glaring at us with eyes full of scorn.
Anyway, I've read your letter. I've heard quite a lot from you. Still, what the heck is this? Are you messing with me? What?
Did we say something shocking? We'd filled Zephora in on our idea for a new core item and the deal with my magic. We also told him we'd met up with the others before coming to Kultura. Now we knew just how cute Vita was and that Ion's cooking was just as delicious as ever. So some of the topics were a little frivolous. I don't get why you're so angry about it.
Fine, let me respond to each one in a way your puny brains can understand. First, the new core item. The idea's a bit far-fetched, but it could work. I'll help out. Chances we'll succeed are slim, but you can count on me as long as Calivis is committed.
He paused, then pointed at me.
The problem here is your magic. I get your body went through a sudden change and is going to endure some growing pains. I know, right? She'll gradually get used to it through training. But the reason behind it, you feeling lonely or whatever? Are you kidding me? Don't be so harsh, dude. Spacey and I are really stressed about it, you know? Why shouldn't I? Only fools would be stressed about such trivial things.
Zephora heaved another sigh and narrowed his eyes at us. I love his tough love. I love it so much.
You're too fixated on the future. So what if I die someday? It's like you're saying the past and present don't matter. Say we never met. You wouldn't have to worry about the future, but you wouldn't have the past either. Or don't you care? No, I care a lot. Yeah, I think he's like, so what if I die someday? Don't say that. Grips him around his waist, hugs him tight. Don't ever leave me, Zephora. Obviously, I was there. We laughed like fools, rehearsed and performed together. We're here right now because of the rowdy times we had as a group. So one day we'll say goodbye. That doesn't make all those other days a waste. Why deny yourself that joy? Like, listen to this man spouting facts and logic that is sweet and wholesome while being angry at us. It's so fucking Zephora, and I love it. Like, everybody else, if they had said this and been like, well, yeah, I know you're concerned about the future, but, like, think of the past and the present, and like, in the temporary future, the near future will still have those moments. Like, yeah, in the distant future, we're all gonna die, but, like, think about the now, and, like, whatever, and the memories we always had that you can have. Like, they would say it all wholesome and soft, but Zephora's over there like, fuck you! What about all the past we share? That means nothing, bitch! Slaps you across the face. You're like, actually, I needed that tough love, duh. Fucking love how he presents everything. Oh, I love our salty clown bitch. Zephora's lecture was a punch to the gut. Whoa, man. You can't say something nice once in a while, huh? Oh. Oh, you can't say something nice once in a while, huh? He's just shocked that it's nice. Okay. Don't taunt me, lizard brain. If you have the time to be depressed, how about you go train this stupid girl? You could have just told me to support her. I smiled as I watched them bicker, ruminating on Zephora's words. Yeah, we're here today because of all the times we had. Our clock started ticking the moment Vilio fell from the sky. It's raining men. If I stopped now and didn't let myself move forward, those rowdy times would slip through my fingers. We can't stop time. All we can do is proceed toward the future. That doesn't mean all our precious memories will disappear, though. Why are you laughing in the middle of a lecture? Have you finally lost your mind? Not at all. I just think your insults are full of love. I know, right? Despite what he says, he actually cares a whole lot. Zephora's lips twitched at the beaming dragon boy's praise. Trembling with anger, he spoke up again. Yeah, because he was trying to, he's like... Twitched with, you wanted to smile. All right, this caring person is more than happy to assist with your training. Hold up, are you including me? But why? I can use my magic just by... Breathing fire is literally the only thing you can do. You don't even possess the bare minimum skill level. Be grateful and repent. Did you just say repent? Do I have to do that too? You are the main course. Squeeze out all your mana and don't stop until you're dry. I don't want to see you hesitate. Squeeze in all your mana and don't stop until you're dry. You know, sir, the phrasing on that is slightly inappropriate, but okay. Well, I guess you'd understand since you gained a ton of power after becoming the Sentinel. So, yes, I'd love to learn magic from you. Totally. I extended a shaky hand to Zephora, which made Vilio raise a brow in confusion. By the way, Zephora, what's the extent of your magic? The core item's power is legit. I can do a lot, from carrying people and objects through the air to scattering gusts of flower petals. Scattering gusts of flower. He's like, I do it all the time. I like to run through the fields and I flutter petals around me to make myself feel pretty. Oh, in that case, wish you had that before. We should do a show. What I feel like that we should do a show is right, because, like, wish you had that before? We wish you had that before. Why? What would it have done us before? Then, you know what I mean? That pertains to the first game, and there's no going back, so, yeah, okay. You can use magic now! And the others have definitely grown since the last time we went on stage. Oh my god, we're gonna do a repeat performance. Oh, I love it. If we got everyone together, I feel like we could pull off a really great show. For the first time in ages, my producer brain went into overdrive, running through the possibilities. You could definitely fan Vilio's flames with wind, but we can also combine it with my magic. If we add Pashalia to the mix, we could create our own weather inside the tent. We can tweak the temperature and let the illusion do the trick. I was brimming with inspiration, letting the ideas take hold. Sorry, bird, but my leg itches.
I'm sorry, my leg really itches.
Huh? What's wrong, you two? They were staring at me, mouths agape. Yeah, they really are. It sounds like a great idea. What? Which one? The thing you just said, Spacey, about doing a show with everybody. Zephora crossed his arms, looking thoughtful. Doesn't Calivus need us to gather in the royal capital? Considering the nature of the core item... Oh, that's a waste. Hold on. What's up, Zephora? After muttering to himself, Zephora fell silent for a few moments. When he spoke next, I couldn't believe my ears. I'm in. Let's do a show. What? Wait a minute. It was just voicing my thoughts aloud.
Yeah, it's just a shadow, buddy. Stop freaking out. It's not a bug. It's just a shadow. You see it all the time up here. Simmer down. You're being fucking weird. You're freaking me out.
So you don't want to do it? No, that's not the problem. I'd love to do another show. But you're all the heads of major cities now. It won't be easy to... We won't know for sure till we ask the others. If they can't, then there's nothing we can do about it. But there's no way we're giving up without even trying. We're all used to getting swept into things out of the blue. Don't worry about it. Villia was all smiles, while Zephora seemed dead serious. But I can see so many gaps in this plan. I was the only one clinging to caution. Meanwhile, the men were already on the move. They told me to hurry up. You have a chalice, right, Zephora? Let me borrow it for a bit. Go convince Calivus first. No one's going to complain if we get permission from the highest authority. Sure thing. It's Calivus we're talking about, so he's bound to give us the okay. I'll adjust my schedule and write letters to the others. Alright, we gotta hit up the Wooloo post after we're done with the chalice. What is happening? They're so in sync. That's because they're best fucking friends. And Vilio flies here when you're asleep and you don't know. You're like, where'd Vilio go? He's been gone for a couple hours. He's in Cultura hanging with his best buddy. It was a sight to behold, especially since these two always bickered without coming to an agreement. No, they're best friends. Now that they were finally on the same wavelength, things were moving ahead at lightning speed. I was completely blown away. This is gonna be great, Spacey. You know what? Yeah, it is. They were so excited I threw caution to the wind and went with the flow. My heart soared in anticipation of our upcoming show. Are we getting to chapter 4? We did it! We caught up and made it to chapter 4! Look at that! We will probably get our end in the next part then, unless it runs super, like, hour and a half. But you know what? We'll do it. Whatever. We'll see what happens. But anyway, I will see you guys next time for most likely the end of Ilia's Realm. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.